Am I the a-hole for demanding that my husband and I go on video consenting to an opening relationship before allowing one? I, 35 female, have been with my husband, 35 male, since we were 15 in high school, and married him at 25 after our first child was born. We are each other's only partner for everything, and I thought we were good until my husband told me that we weren't. It all started when our first child, Tane female, was born, and the dynamics of our relationship went through a shift. I admit that it was a bit of a challenge, but I thought we were doing okay until I got pregnant a second time and we had our twins, 6 male and 6 male. It was rough, and between child rearing, both working, taking care of the home, and struggling to save for a bigger place, I honestly started to wonder if we'd make it. We went to counseling, and once all kids were in school, I felt like my husband and I were going to be okay. We moved into our home. We got a handle in our student loans, got help with childcare, received respective employment advances, and were able to make monthly date nights for each other, where we could just focus on us. It wasn't perfect, but I truly believed that we were good. Then one day, my husband approached me about wanting to bring more excitement into the relationship. At first, I thought he just wanted to spice things up, which I was down for, and we did. But then he started to drop little hints about wanting more and asking me if I ever had any regrets about when we met. It took a while for me to be honest with both him and myself, but I finally admitted that there were certain things I wish we could have done differently, and he seized that moment to bring up opening up the marriage. I was shocked, confused, hurt, and the thought of cheating entered my mind. He assured me that it wasn't, and sent me articles and videos about ethical non-monogamy, but I wasn't initially open to it. Unfortunately, my husband didn't stop and kept pestering me about it to the point where it would ruin our date nights. And after a year, I relented just to get it over with, but insisted on some ground rules. One of them being that I wanted us both to side down together and record ourselves consenting to allowing the other to have a partner. When my husband asked why, I showed him a post about a woman who was in an open relationship with her husband. But one day while she was out with her boyfriend, a relative of the husband saw, took pictures, and then confronted the wife with the entire family. They accused her of cheating, and her husband just let her take the fall. I don't ever want to be in that position, but my husband dismissed it, saying that what happened to her won't happen to us, and that no one else needs to be in our relationship, which I found laughably ironic. I told him, no video confirmation of consent, then no open relationship. My husband thinks I'm being paranoid, unreasonable, selfish, unfair, and unwilling to compromise. Am I the a-hole? No. You're not the a-hole, Opie. You're someone who gave everything to hold your relationship and family together, only to be met with pressure disguised as a conversation. Your husband didn't bring this up as a mutual idea. He wore you down, ignored your discomfort, and rejected a simply boundary meant to protect you. So let's just be honest about this whole thing. If he's pushing this hard, it's likely he's already cheating on you, or has someone waiting in the wings. The refusal to record consent, that's not about privacy. It's about having plausible deniability when things do blow up. So, in my opinion, you should give him exactly what he wants, freedom. Let him explore life without you. File for divorce. Protect your peace. Protect your children. And don't look back. You're not paranoid. You're clear-eyed. You deserve better than being manipulated into self-betrayal. And what do you guys think? More info. So, his idea of compromise to my video request is just having something in writing instead of video. However, it's harder to challenge a video than it is a signed document. That's another reason why I wanted to do the video. However, it is mostly to cover myself in case someone accuses me of cheating. My main concern is with public opinion. I don't want the people I know who I'm close to and or see every day think that I'm a cheater. One of the ground rules I set was no sleeping with someone from work, and he didn't give any pushback on that. So, at the very least, I don't think he wants to sleep with anyone at work. The other ground rules are that we would have to use protection when it came to other partners get tested frequently. If there was a pregnancy outside of the marriage, more likely on his end than mine since I'm on long-term birth control, then the marriage would be over, as I don't want to be a step-parent, and we have kids, and so not have this at home near the children. And regarding divorce, I think I'd need at least a year from now to prepare for one in order to give myself a better outcome. We have joint and separate accounts. One of the ground rules would be that our own personal accounts would be used for nothing that had to do with any outside partners. Well, the community agrees that Opie is not the a-hole and that she should just get rid of the whole husband. So now let's move on to the update to see how the story ends. Update. Hello guys. Some things have changed. And because I still get the occasional PM about this, I decided to give an update to my situation, and it will probably be many months before I give any new information if I update again at all. To get straight to the point, I decided to give my husband what he wanted and will be filing for divorce. For more details, please continue reading. After having yet another argument about opening up the marriage, my husband threw a fit and left the house and didn't return until the following day. It was late, and I know he had been drinking a few more beers than he usually does. So, I was worried and kept trying to call and text him. He didn't respond, but while I was walking around the house with worry, I noticed a pinging sound around the same time I sent my husband messages. I eventually found the iPad that he used to use and was planning on giving to his sister's stepkid, and realized it was still linked to his phone. Against my looming sense of guilt, I checked his iPad, and it turns out he's been messaging another woman from work for months. It wasn't just work-related or platonic stuff either. A lot of these messages were really spicy, and had the occasional not-safe-for-work pictures. They didn't show each other's faces, but I know my husband's body, and that Chickie was communicating with forgot about the mirror behind her, which showed a tattoo that she had on her back on her shoulder. So, even though she cut off her face, I knew who she was. According to the messages, they haven't gone all the way, but they have done other stuff and made jokes and comments about me. To make it worse, he's also been messaging some of his friends and cousins about me, saying how disgusting he thinks my body has become since having our kids, how he hates that my breasts have tiny stretch marks and aren't as high up as they used to be, and resent me for putting my desires of doing motherhood a certain way, rather than considering the needs of my partner. This was in reference to my choice to breastfeed, instead of using formula like he kept suggesting. My heart broke and I cried as I read the messages. I guess I wasn't as quiet as I thought I was, because my son woke up and asked me if I was okay. I ended up taking him to bed with me, and we fell asleep snuggling. I woke up to my daughter giving me breakfast toast with jam and a peeled tangerine with some cereal, and told me that she heard her father and I arguing and wanted to cheer me up because she knew I was sad. This made me angry inside. Not at the kids, but at my husband. How dare this man subject these beautiful kids to this type of chaos, all because he wanted to get laid. In that moment, something in me broke emotionally, and I no longer held any care or love for my husband. Part of me was hoping something terrible did happen to him while he was out, as it would be a much cleaner break for me and my kids, and I would have the benefit of his life insurance policy. Maybe I should see a therapist about that. After I finished having breakfast with the kids, I let them go play while I looked up divorce attorneys and Googled state laws on marriage and divorce. My husband came back in the early afternoon. Still wouldn't say where he was, but I didn't care. He was showering. I told him that he had my permission to open the marriage. No video or written statement required. He was ecstatic, and suddenly, the fun and attentive man my husband was came back and it made me sick. He agreed never to bring any of his conquests to the home where our children might see and use protection, but his word means nothing to me now. Over the next couple of days, I used my lunch breaks to have phone meetings with lawyers, and I believe I found the one for me. Since I gave my husband the green light, he's not being covert about his adventures, and even showed me his Tinder profile. I smiled, but said nothing, and I'm just collecting whatever evidence I can pass on to my lawyer. My plan is to serve him and pretend to be the aggrieved wife who found out about his adultery, and lie about giving him permission to family and friends. No one outside of my lawyer knows that I'm gearing up for divorce in real life, and there is no changing my mind. Thank you for reading. Well, my guess is, now he's going to be wishing you guys had actually made that video. But cheaters deserve exactly everything that comes their way. So, on that note, here's wishing you a speedy and easy divorce. Take care, and thanks for sharing. And now, let's move on to the next post that also has an update. Story 2. Am I the a-hole? Would I be the a-hole public? And it's by user TrySeason 1291. Am I the a-hole for not going to the birthday party my sister-in-law planned for me? Last Saturday was my 35th birthday, and the only thing I really wanted to do was spend time with my husband Chris and our 5-year-old Eliza. I didn't have any plans to go out because I don't really like going out unless I absolutely have to. I would much rather stay in if I'm being honest. Everyone who knows me knows this. Well, during one of the movies we were watching, I got a call from my sister-in-law, Whitney, 29, asking me if I would like to go bowling with her, and a few mutual friends of ours. I said that I wasn't up for it, and just really wanted to spend the day with Chris and our daughter since it was my birthday. She repeatedly begged me to go, but I stood firm and kept declining her offer. She was upset and just hung up on me. I sent her a text apologizing, but she just left me on read. A few hours went by when I got a call from a friend asking me why. I didn't go to the party Whitney planned for me, and I told her honestly that I didn't know about any party. Whitney didn't tell me about the party when I was on the phone with her earlier in the day, and the only thing she called about was to ask me if I wanted to go bowling, which I declined to spend the day with my family. My friend called me ungrateful and rude for completely dismissing Whitney's feelings after she spent so much time planning for my birthday party. I apologized because I honestly didn't know, but my friend told me that I was still wrong to decline her offer instead of going to the party. I called Whitney after I got off the phone with my friend and asked her why she didn't just tell me about the party. I would have gone knowing that she put a lot of time and effort into planning it, but I didn't know. She told me that's the whole reason why she invited me out to bowl, because it was a bowling party for me. I felt really bad and asked if there was anything I can do to make up for her for missing the party she planned for me. She said no, and then just hung up. I tried talking to her on Monday, but she was pretty cold towards me and didn't actually want to talk to me. Chris doesn't think I did anything wrong, but I can't help feel like the jerk for missing out on the party she planned for me. So, was I wrong for not going bowling when my sister-in-law invited me to? No, OP, you weren't wrong, and you weren't the a-hole. From your perspective, this is the information you got. You were having your birthday with your husband and your kid, just like you wanted. Your sister-in-law invited you to go bowling. You didn't want to. So you said, nope, thank you. And that was it. Why is she upset with you? Had she been upfront? Had she said, hey, a lot of your friends got together, and we decided to go bowling, and we wanted you to come to celebrate your birthday, or something like that. Then you would have gone, and you would have had fun. But your friends telling you that you're wrong for not going, and your sister-in-law acting all offended. I'm sorry, but none of this is your responsibility. So, no. OP, not the A. What do you guys think? Update. So, it's been a few days since I posted here and asked if I was the A for not going to the party my sister-in-law planned for me. And a lot has happened since then. A day after I posted, I sat down and talked with my husband and asked Chris if he knew that Whitney was planning a party for me. He told me that he didn't know anything about this party since they talk every day, multiple times a day at that. He said he found it weird that she never mentioned it to him. I found this weird too because it didn't make sense to me. And I just don't get why she wouldn't tell her brother about the party. The next day, I decided to sit down and talk with Whitney and ask why she didn't tell me or Chris about the party. She said that she didn't have to tell anything, and as her sister-in-law, I should have just gone when she invited me out to bowling. I told her that it was unfair of her to say that when it was my birthday, and I should be allowed to do whatever I want on my birthday. She told me that I was a terrible person, and it was unfair to make her the bad guy when this was all my fault for not going. She actually told me that I should pay her back the money she wasted throwing me a party I didn't even go to. I told her I wasn't going to do that and cut the conversation off there because we are obviously getting nowhere at this point. Later, in the day, I get a call from my mother-in-law telling me that I was an ungrateful brat for not appreciating what Whitney did for me. She even agreed that I should pay Whitney back the money she used to throw the party, including decorations, food, and the cake. Chris answered for me and told his mom that I wouldn't be paying Whitney. And that was the end of that. Mother-in-law told him that it was the least I could do for not even showing up after I knew. He told her that by the time I knew about the party, it was over and I couldn't be able to go. Then mother-in-law just hung up after that. After that call, I told him I really didn't want to be around his mother and sister right now because I'm starting to feel like this whole thing is used as a way to attack me for no reason. It feels stupid to me that they are both so mad about this, but can't see how wrong Whitney was for not saying anything about the party to me or Chris. I don't want to go no contact completely, but as of right now, I am definitely going low contact with them for the foreseeable future. I don't know if this is the update that you guys wanted, but this is how things played out, and hopefully maybe in the future I can come back with happier news. But for now, this is where we stand, and I'm okay with that. Well, OP, you tried solving this whole situation, and they just got more ridiculous. So now just let them stew in their own ridiculousness, and hopefully at some point they'll understand they're wrong and apologize to you. And if not, well, that's still on them. So here's wishing you the best op. Thanks for sharing, and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So, here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later story. 3 Pwais, so I, 22F, still live with my dad by choice. My mom passed away when I was 5, and it's just been the two of us ever since. He never dated anyone until now, and honestly, I'm proud of him for finally opening up again. His new girlfriend seems nice enough, and I want him to be happy. She has 3 kids, a son, 18M, an older daughter, 29F, who doesn't live with her, and a younger daughter, 10F. Recently, they've been spending more time at our house, and now they're officially moving in. For context, we live in a 3-bedroom house. My dad has the master bedroom, I've had my own room my entire life, and the 3rd bedroom is currently a guest room, home office, and storage combo. We also have a spacious basement and an attic, both mostly filled with old stuff, some of it my mom's, but nothing that can't be moved or reorganized. I'm a full-time uni student, and I also work part-time at a restaurant. I get a small monthly allowance from my dad. Classic Indian dad behavior, LOL. But I still make my own money and support myself as much as I can while I study. I even paid him $50 in rent, which is the most he'd let me give. I tried offering more, but he refused. So I'm not freeloading. I pull my weight. Here's the issue. My dad told me that the 10-year-old would be sharing my room. As in, I'm supposed to give up my privacy, routine, and personal space to suddenly share it with a 4th grader. And here's the thing. She's not a bad kid, but she's loud, high energy, and constantly wants attention. She talks nonstop, touches things without asking, and doesn't really understand boundaries yet. She'll go through my drawers, try on my stuff, and barge in even when I'm clearly doing schoolwork or trying to nap. She's very clingy with me too, probably because I'm the closest in age among the women in the house, but it's draining. I tried being patient and nice, but I'm already struggling. To juggle school, work, and life, sharing a room with someone who wakes up early, makes noise, and doesn't understand personal space would seriously affect my mental health and productivity. Also, my dad actually agrees with me. He knows it's not fair to ask me to give up my space, and he's been trying to talk to his girlfriend about putting her daughter in the guest room instead. He also suggested that her son take the basement or attic, and her son is completely fine with that. In fact, He likes the idea of having the basement to himself and said he could even turn it into his own space. So it's not like anyone's protesting except his mom. But she still insists that her son needs his own room and doesn't want her son in the basement for reasons I honestly don't understand. She's not hearing anyone out, including my dad. Meanwhile, I'm just expected to step aside and give up the room I've had all my life, like it's no big deal. I didn't ask for this new setup. I'm trying to be supportive, but I also didn't expect to be pushed aside in my own home just because my dad is starting a new chapter. I don't hate the little girl, not at all, but I also don't think it's fair for a 22-year-old university student with a job to be rooming with a 10-year-old who doesn't respect boundaries or understand what quiet time means. It's not a minor inconvenience. It's a huge shift in my day-to-day life. So, am I the a-hole? Update. Hello, guys. I want to start off by saying thank you for the advices you all gave me. I wasn't able to comment on all of them, but I read them, and some comments actually pointed something out. My dad's girlfriend wants me out, and the ones that told me to sit down with my dad and talk to him privately. Just as I did so this morning, we went out for breakfast, and I told him I don't feel comfortable sharing my room. I don't want to share my room. I told him I'm not taking the attic and basement either. Listen, my room was mine since I was a baby, so why would I want to give it to someone else? He was a bit hurt about this, since I didn't actually tell him how I really felt about this whole ordeal. For context, if you don't want to read about the ages and personality and background, skip this paragraph. Okay, so my dad was born in India and is an only child, while my mother had 4 brothers. So you can already tell how the dynamic was. Like my mom's parents favored her brother more than her, blah blah blah. And my dad didn't like that. And he was like 22. When they got married, he moved to Canada with my mom, 22 and 19. Yes, it was a love marriage. My dad got a job and went to school, started his own business, and took my mom to school, and they got financially stable. My mom's got her degree in medicine and my dad an accountant. They had me at 30 and 27. I was 5 when my mom passed away. My dad's is a bit of an irrational person, not in a bad way, but when you piss him off regarding someone he cares deeply about, he's quick cut you off. My dad's GF is 40 and eldest child is 29. So you can do the math anyway after talking. To my dad, he was kind of pissed off at how blind he'd been, and he was fuming. We went back home, and you will not believe what we saw. His girlfriend already moved her daughter's clothes from the guest room to mine, and that lit the fuse. I started screaming at her not to touch anything in my room. I honestly should have listened to those who told me to put a lock on my door. My dad intervened, told me to take the kids out of the house, and they started arguing. Long story short, my dad broke up with her, and it turns out she had lost her house to debt and had nowhere else to go. And she was after my dad's money, but my dad was what she described as stingy as he didn't buy anything for her. I cackled at this. We changed the locks as she printed out her own copy of the keys, and later got a call from her ex-husband, the baby daddy of the 10-year-old, saying we should have kept her with us as she is now, staying with him and his wife and other kids. So it's now a crowded house. I feel like my dad dodged a bullet there. They were dating for a few months and all this happened in a span of one day. It's also sad that he didn't date after my mom died, and when he finally tried to, this is what happened. My dad says it's best he stays a single widower. Low-key sad, but that's his decision. Also to mediocre prompt telling me to move out. 'Cause I'm 25. I'm 22, Red, and I don't want to move out yet. There's no such thing as it's time to move out. When you have a great relationship with your parents. I'll move out when I want. See how I said I choose to stay with my dad? Yeah, it's a choice. I can move anytime. But guess what I choose? Yes, choosy. It's a choice not to move out. Maybe after I graduate. I'll move, but honestly, I hate being alone. So I could it. Oh my gosh, can y'all stop telling me to move out? I genuinely don't want to yet. And my dad doesn't either. Telling me to move just because of a girlfriend is a diabolical. My name is in the title deed. So I own the house too. It's my house too. I have every right to say no. I'll move out for sure, but when I feel like it, I'm not a lazy bum that doesn't know how to take care of herself. I sure can. I just chose to stay with my dad. Why is that so looked down upon? Like, can't someone stay with their parents? Not because of circumstances, but by choice. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.